Welcome back to the Development by David podcast with your host, David McIntosh. Today, I'm in the Green Room studio in Glasgow recording with no one other than Bemz, the Scottish-based Nigerian-born rapper. He's a good friend of mine. You might remember him from the podcast like 4 years ago, episode number 7, and he's been on a crazy journey. When we last recorded, he dialed in from his flat on an iPhone. He was expecting to be a father. He hadn't really performed at any big gigs. Now he's performed at Transmit Festival, supported Killer Mike, and won at the Scottish Album of the Year Awards. He's even achieved his boyhood dream of being the face of Celtic Football Club. You're going to love this episode. It's a real line in the sand of his development and my development as well. If you enjoyed this episode, please remember to give it a share and drop Bemz a follow. This was a brilliant episode. Before we get into this week's episode, I need to shout out this week's sponsor, Handsome Jack's Finishing. Before I do an in-person podcast, I always get a haircut and I go no other place than Handsome Jack's in Finishing. If you're based in Glasgow and you want a fade or a mullet like I've got, you must go there. Not only is it a world-class barber based in Glasgow, they're just a good group of guys. For guys, it's quite hard to open up, but I find myself having more banter, more introspective chat at the barber shop. They're a great group of lads, great customer service, great prices, great haircuts. Go nowhere else than Handsome Jack's Finishing in Argyle Street, Glasgow. Bemz, welcome back to the Development by David podcast. It's been a while.
Thank you so much for having me, brother. It's good to be back, you know?
Little do people know that you're one of my first guests.
Yeah.
We recorded this in 2020. I was at home in my dad's council estate. You dialed in on your phone with headphones. And a lot's changed for you, for myself.
Yeah, I mean, two guys from Air being at like the forefront of what it is that they do. It's beautiful to see, man, and I'm proud of you. Just get that in there.
Mate, I'm proud of you too.
Thank you.
Because I guess our industries are very similar. There's hardly a face of the industry just yet.
Yeah.
And I want to ask about that actually. Why is the Scottish rap scene is not prevalent here like it is in the grime scene in London and maybe in Manchester and then of course overseas?
How long do you actually have? Because I feel like there's a few reasons for that. The first thing, I guess, would be investment. You know, there's not really much financial value to the rap scene in Scotland. And because of that, well, nobody really cares about it because it doesn't make money. So because it doesn't make money, then it's not good business, is it? You know, so we struggle because of that, you know. Secondly, there's also like, and this isn't even me being like, say I'm like the best rapper in the world or whatever, because I'm not, or might not even be the best in Scotland, but there's a talent issue as well. Some people just aren't that good, do you know what I mean? And there's also like egos. Like I think the ego side of things is probably like the biggest one, to be fair, because everybody's trying to like do the same thing, but not trying to work with each other to accomplish the same thing. Do you know what I mean? So there's just little pockets of different people doing cool things that would probably be more amplified if they all kind of came together and was like, let's push this as a community rather than let's push this as individuals. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, all these things and a few other more leads for, well, lack of growth. Do you know what I mean? And also, there's just no infrastructure. Like, I feel like the Scottish hip-hop has been about for a minute, but like there's no clear path for anybody to follow. Do you know what I mean? Like, I remember me being a young boy, like from Stranraer and going to Aird and coming to Glasgow. And like, there wasn't any clear direction of how to be a successful rapper in Scotland. Do you know what I mean? Obviously with other genres, because there's been like success stories at like global scale, like it kind of makes the path easier to walk, you know, because you're like, oh, if I come in, I can do this, and then I can do that, then I can do that, and then I'll work with that person, and everything escalates from there. For us, well, we've never really had that, you know, so yeah, it's kind of set us back like 10, 15 years, I'll probably say.
Do you think it will take someone like you to become a superstar for there to be a financial focus on the industry to then leave paths for other people, or do you think the better approach is for all of you artists to come together instead of wanting the whole pie, is to appreciate having a slice of the pie and amplifying the scene as a whole, opposed to there just being one breakthrough success and that leading the way?
I think a bit of both. Like, I'm also very, very much aware and like sure that I probably won't be the one who does it, but if I can make the path easier for the person who does do it, then my job's done. Do you know what I mean? Because like the outcome will always be the outcome. I'm not doing this so I can be the most successful rapper in Scotland. No, I'm doing this to be able to make a change for that 15, 16-year-old who decides I want to be a rapper and like doesn't know how to approach it. Do you know what I mean? But I do believe that if one person blows, we all blow, and that's where the community aspect comes in. Because it's like for me, if I'm standing next to somebody and the spotlight's on them, by default, the spotlight catches me too. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, if you go on and you become number one and there's a community behind you pushing you, people are going to be like, oh, okay, he's too far gone. Who's the next? Who else can we go to? And there's a long line of people. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I think it's a mixture of both, you know?
Just hearing that shows the distance that you've travelled since we last spoke, because we're speaking about you being up and coming. And I'd probably say you still label yourself as, or maybe the press labels you as up and coming now. Yeah. But we're speaking about how you were up and coming then. You hadn't played any of the big gigs that you had before. And now you're already at the point where you're leading back and giving a hand up to the next generation. Can we go back in time to set the scene of your origin story, what life looked like before rap?
Yeah, life before rap was a little bit mad. I guess if we want to take it back, it'll probably have to start back home, innit? Which is London. Nigerian born, obviously, but spent a lot of my youth in London. Crazy.
Brixton and Peckham, right?
Yeah, well, I'm a Peckham, Camberwell Peckham boy. Grew up, big family, stayed with my dad, and yeah, it was a bit crazy, I guess, but that's where my love of music comes from. Do you know what I mean? It's like just everybody in my family listens to music, different styles of music. Like my dad loved his Afrobeat. My brother Daniel, he used to love this rapper in America called Young Jeezy. Probably still does, actually. My other brothers listened to like grime. We used to burn CDs, buy burnt CDs, like best of gigs and all of that. You know what I mean? So yeah, music has always kind of played a big part. But you know, then as fate would have it, I end up in Stranraer, innit? You know, and yeah, it was never really meant to be a career choice. It was really just a hobby, it's something to tide me by type thing whilst being in Stranraer, you know. What
took you to Stranraer? And for the listeners who doesn't know what Stranraer is, it's the tiniest little village.
Yeah, it's like so tucked away, man. It's like, it's where you'd go. I don't even know if the ferry's still there, but it's where you would used to go to get the ferry to go over to Ireland. Do you know what I mean? I went to Stranraer because my dad thought it would be what was best for me because of my behaviour, my surroundings, and just overall general life in London. Do you know what I mean? And his sister, her husband, and her stayed in Stranraer at the time because of work. So I used to come up for like a few summer holidays and spend time with them. And yeah, came up one year, just never went back. So yeah.
It sounded like you didn't have the choice to go back. You thought you were going for a trip and they just left you there.
Pretty much, yeah. Like it was kind of that, you know, and that in itself is a whole nother story because of like the impact that had on me as a person. But you know, see, when you're in a situation like that, it's kind of like, you know, fight or flight type thing, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, well, I'm here now, and there's nowhere else for me to go, in it. Do you know what I mean? So I might as well just make the best of what I've got.
Tell me what was going on in Peckham when you were growing up. You said your behaviour wasn't the best. What was going on in the streets?
Bloody hell, man. It was crazy, bro. It's just the same. Can I swear?
Yeah, you can swear.
Yeah, it's just the same shit, bro. You know, just. Well, I wouldn't even call it gangs, but like people like to label it as gangs. There's obviously gang wars, postcode wars, a lot of poverty, a lot of just broken homes, whether that was by the system or just life in general. School was chaotic, and everybody a majority, actually I won't even say majority, but a lot of people never really had positive role models and stuff at the time that wasn't people on road, innit? So it kind of really pushes you down that path, innit? And I'm not here saying that I was the baddest. I was not here saying that I was a gangster or whatever. I really wasn't, but I wasn't making right choices, and neither were some of the people around me, and I guess speaking what's going to my dad about it, years to come, he was just at that point in time, it was the best thing for him as a father to do for me, and yeah, he done it. So,
is that where your brother was stabbed?
Yeah. So he got stabbed in London, and that was about a year or so after I left London. Yeah, so I guess that kind of reinforces the point that my dad was making, innit? Whereas yeah, I had to get you out. He couldn't get anyone else out because they were all older at the time, They were a lot older than me, and I was the only one that I guess he could quote unquote save, innit? So, yeah.
At the time, did you realise that you were saved when you moved
Hell
to
no. The fuck? Bro, I always say this, if you put it into perspective, imagine being 14, 15 or whatever, and just getting shifted away from everything you know, everybody you love. I know that I didn't love my auntie or whatever, but those are my brothers, man. Those are my sisters. Do you know what I mean? Those are the people who, from the day that I was born, I've been around. Do you know what I mean? And obviously all my friends at school, these are people who are my people, and all of a sudden it's gone, innit? And I'm up in Stranraer going to school in Stranraer Academy. What the fuck? Do you know what I mean? So now as a grown man and as a father myself, yes, I can see it. Do I agree with how it was done and how it rolled out? Probably not. But am I grateful for it? Yeah. And I guess that's the joys of being a parent, isn't it?
What did that mean for your exposure to rap? I guess you were saying that you were growing up around gigs, and I can imagine if you mentioned the name gigs in Stranraer that they probably think of Ryan.
Yeah, facts, bro, facts. But it had negative but positives as well, innit? Because it was moving up to Stranraer really then opened me to a wider genre of music. Do you know what I mean? Bro, I was never listening to techno before in my life. You know what I mean? Who the fuck's DJ Bad Boy, whatever the fuck that guy's called? Do you know what I mean? They're Shortec and all them guys. And then you get into System of a Down, you get into the rock side of things, do you know? So it really, really opened my eyes to other music outside of the ones that I was comfortable with. But at the same time, bro, I came up and I'm listening to what's happening, and I'm yeah, I can do a whole lot better, innit? Do you know what I mean? But that's the joys of when, as a country or as a creative scene, people are 5-10 years behind, innit? So when you're from the outside and you come in, you're you already kind of have a head start in terms of I don't want to say talent, but in terms of just how to do what people are trying to do. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah.
In Stranraer, how did you feel socially? I can imagine in London, you have your family who are Nigerian born, but you go to a place like Stranraer where it's not diverse in terms of ethnic background. Did you fit in ethnically? Not that you had to fit in, but how did you feel?
No, I did not fit in at all, bro. As you can imagine. Bro, you go from being in a space where everybody looks and talks like you, and you're now somewhere where, bro, it's one of the only black people in the school. Do you know what I mean? So it obviously had its problems, as you can imagine. A fucking shitload of racism, as you can imagine. But at the same time, bro, I met some pretty cool people. Do you know what I mean? Some people who, it didn't matter that they were in the middle of nowhere, they just had basic, normal human decencies. Do you know what I mean? They just weren't dicks. Do you know what I mean? And those people, you know, help shape my experience instantly, you know. But if I was supposed to sit here and be like, oh, like, it didn't happen, yeah, I'd be lying to you. Do you know what I mean? Like, we went through it. We had to fight for it, but that's life, innit?
And moving to our hometown where we met, Ayr, it seems that things changed there. They were a bit more accommodating and accepting and celebratory of who you are.
Yeah, but I also am not shy of realising that it was because I managed to get myself surrounded with a good group of people. Do you know what I mean? Because there's probably people in there who probably think I'm a dickhead. Do you know what I mean? And there are probably people who didn't like me now because I was black or whatever. But, bro, it didn't matter to me because, like, I had found, like, my core group of people who I would happily go through life with. Do you know what I mean? And those people are still the people that I still keep close to me. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, Ayr was cool, man. Like, if anyone does ask me a question though about like where I would class as home in Scotland, it would be Ayr, because that's where I kind of like found myself and really started developing to being the man that I am now, you know?
I love your old track. I think it's Black Kid, White City.
Yeah.
I play on Kendrick's album, Good Kid, Mad City. And I know you from those days. I've seen that distance travelled. People probably look at your Instagram and see the Barrowlands coming up, or Transmit, or Reading, or Leeds, or the Album of the Year Awards at the Scottish Album of the Year Awards, but they haven't seen that distance travelled.
Yeah.
When you first kind of picked up the microphone and tried to make it your full-time career, what did your surroundings look like?
It looked like Ayr, innit? It looked like Ayr. Like there wasn't like any infrastructure. There wasn't anything that was like accommodating to me being a rapper. Do you know what I mean? Apart from my friends, you know, like my friends really, really, really got behind the idea of me doing it, you know, to the point where, like, I remember in my old flat, like, I went to work one day, came back, and they'd like built a recording booth in my living room for me, type thing. Do you know what I mean? Like they'd went out their way, invested in like mics, interfaces, and everything like that. I came home and I'm there like, here's a booth, get to work, type thing. Do you know what I mean? When we weren't getting booked for shows and we were putting on our own shows, it was this community that came together. Do you know what I mean? I actually remember when I got my first kind of proper booking in Glasgow, and like, bro, like, turned out like 50 odd cunts from Ayr, bro. And the promoters and that were kind of looking at me like, who the hell is this guy? Do you know what I mean? Like, and how the hell is he managed to bring something like this from Ayr, you know? So, yeah, my surroundings weren't the best. It wasn't built for me to succeed, but we're here now, innit?
And when I come to your gigs or any events that you put on, it's the same crowd, or mostly the same crowd, that come to support you now as well. And it's just nice that you are both still together in this journey, and you seem very proud and celebratory of them.
Yeah,
being part of it.
Yeah, what's gonna, because like for me, like, I'm nothing without my peoples, innit? Do you know what I mean? Whether that's like the peoples who are like close knit or like just a little bit outside. Do you know what I mean? And even to, you know, the people who just buy tickets just because they see me or whatever. Like I'm nothing without them, in it. So, and I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, I done this all by myself. Well, because I clearly didn't. Do you know what I mean? And I think if you're going to celebrate everything that I've accomplished, we have to celebrate the people who helped make it possible. Do you know what I mean? Because without these people traveling from Ayr to Glasgow, the promoters and stuff in Glasgow wouldn't even take notice of me. Do you know what I mean? Without these people like spending their money to come see me, nobody would care who I am. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I know it sounds mad cliched or whatever, but like without them, there's no me type beat. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
When we first recorded together, I don't think you had your first blip on the map, as we say.
We call it.
Yeah, blip on the map. Like you were just about to be a father. We're during a global pandemic. What was the first event or gig or like sign of success that you could go all the way with it? Because I don't think you had it yet.
Yeah, nah. But for me, like the very, very most important, like the catalyst or whatever, that I was like, yo, I sold out Poetry Club in like a few days or whatever. was it 100 tickets? Boom, gone. And I was like, hey, yo, what the fuck? Do you know what I mean? Like, what's happening right now? I remember being on the phone, like, going crazy, like, I can't believe we just done that. You know, that was a defining point. But like, bro, I'm not trying to flex or there's so many now. Do you know what I mean? It's like, there's so many key points where I look at and I'm just like, yeah.
It's quite funny because whenever you send me something or I see something in your story, I just like almost like laughing react at it now because I'm like, it's just all the time. And the orders of magnitude of the size of the things that you get exposed to now is insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And we always joke about it's just a blip in the map. It's the way we keep each other humble.
Yeah, because it's true though, isn't it? You know, it's like, I think if you get too complacent, that's when you start to lose, innit? You know, like I fully believe I've not accomplished 10% of what God put me on this earth to do. Do you know what I mean? So there's still a long way to go. But I'm not shy of sitting back and looking at where I am and where I came from and being like,
Even listening to you now in comparison to that first episode we did together, your confidence in who you are as an artist has completely changed.
Yeah.
Even like your PR and your interviewing skills or interview skills is completely different.
Yeah.
And it's just a showcase that you've collected so many accolades on the way that you're so self-assured as who you are in the scene now.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that comes with growth as well, you know, and it's like it's been, 4 odd years or whatever since the last one, 3-4 years. And like, a lot happened during that, you know, I'm me, bro. Do you know what I mean? And I am very, very proud of who I am. And I'm not perfect. I'm not this, I'm not that or whatever, but I am me. Do you know what I mean? And once I got around to like accepting that, yeah, bro, there's not really much anybody can say to me that's gonna faze me, you know? And it really helps that, as you say, over the way we've collected accolades. Do you know what I mean? It helps that over the way that things have rolled out and planned out the way they have. Do you know what I mean? But a lot of my lessons came from like the things that people don't see. Do you know what I mean? Like the amount of shit that I fucked up in those like 3-4 years, like the amount of L's that I've taken, like once you take a few of them, you just realize that that's life, innit? And there's not really much you can do. And now I'm just like, hey, this is me, man. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Like, it don't mean nothing to me.
When you mentioned selling out the Poetry Club or selling 100 tickets, people don't really see that. Unlike comedy, for example, people just decide they're going to a comedy club. They don't really care who's on the bill. They're buying the ticket anyway. People don't do that with music or rap. They had to come and see you.
Yeah,
they bought in to you and your music and your journey. And I think that's probably such a hamstring or such a hardship in Scotland, is that your career's reliant on people investing in you, buying tickets, spending their 3-4 hours wage to come and see you.
Yeah.
Unlike comedy, where people just show up and see who they see.
No, 100%. But again, and this is why I always try and just be the person that I am, because like then people know what they're buying into. Do you know what I mean? Rather than them buying into a facade, innit? Do you know what I mean? And for me, ever since I made that conscious change, I've reaped the benefit of it, you know, and long may it continue.
I mean, I've seen that change in both you and your music. Like, you would rap previously about like the traditional rapper's delight, like the Lamborghini, the jewels or whatever, and now probably around the time that we did our first podcast, you changed to speaking and rapping about things that were relatable, everyday problems almost. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's important, isn't it? Because ain't no motherfucker here can relate to driving Lamborghinis and shit. I can't. I ain't even got a Lamborghini. God damn, like, I don't even know how to drive. Do you know what I mean? Like, so you spend all these years thinking that you have to be the person that people want you to be. And 9 out of 10 times, bro, it just leads you down a dark path that is just not true, you know? And making that conscious change to just rapping about my life, because, bro, like, my life is a very interesting one, because there's been a shitload of ups and downs and stuff. But, like, the one thing that I clocked that everybody can relate to, bro, it doesn't matter how rich you are, how poor you are, whether you're black, white, purple, green, he, she, they, them, like, it doesn't matter. The one thing that we all have in common is feelings, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And if I can portray my feelings in my music, I'm sure out of like how many billion people in the world, there's going to be like one person who can relate to that, you know? And if my music can reach them, then it's found its place in it.
What I love about you and your journey is that from the comments I read online, people say, I love Bemz, he's so humble, he's such a good guy. Everyone seems to relate to you. And as your success has climbed to partnering with like Celtic and JD Sports and being almost terminally online, every time I'm online I see you with all these opportunities, people still recognise that you're still a very normal bloke. And you, I would say from knowing you personally as a mate, you have maintained that composure and humility since day one.
Well, yeah, because for me, it's not even as if it's like I'm trying. It's just like, bro, it's just who I am. Like, bro, from where I come from, like, I shouldn't be here. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like,
like statistically, you should not.
I shouldn't be here. Do you know what I mean? So, bro, like, I'm not going to pretend that, like, none of this shit is cool, like isn't cool because I'm known. Bro, what do you mean? Like, I'm a football fan, so let's just tap on the Celtic thing, for example. I'm a football fan. I love Celtic. To get an opportunity to work with a club that shit is crazy. Do you know what I mean? And best believe I'ma let people know that shit's crazy. And I feel like that's what a lot of people relate to, because if a normal person gets an opportunity like that, it's crazy to them, right? So why would it not be crazy to me? I'm just a normal person. I may have like a few more followers than other people, but it doesn't really mean shit. Like, I'm still just that guy who's like, yo, like, I can't believe I get to talk to these players. I can't believe that I get to like go down to London and do these things. I can't believe I get to work with these brands and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, bro, it is lit, and I am not ashamed to say that it's lit, and I will never be ashamed to say that it's lit. Do you know what I mean? I just got to just enjoy it, and then hopefully from there get into opportunities where I can now start bringing more people so they can all share in the success, you know?
Mate, you bring me along to... my first Celtic game was a Celtic women's game with you and your daughter. You're bringing me along, mate.
Remember that? Yeah, but that's what it's about. Like for me, that is what it's about. You know, it's like, see the amount of like friends and people who I know who I take to these things, not because I have to. Like, bro, I could shout these influencers and say, hey, there's an opportunity here. But bro, normal people deserve to have nice things too. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I say normal, like, ordinary Joes, like, let's go and watch Celtic in a hospitality box. Why not? Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of these things is like gate-kept for
a certain group of people.
Do you see what I'm saying? It's like until you get like a few thousand followers and your name's popping, that's when these doors start opening for you. Whereas like an average Joe, like who works a 9 to 5, who's not a personality or whatever, they'd have to fork out hundreds to be able to get to the place that I'm at. So whenever I get that opportunity, I'm just like, I've got like a group chat and stuff with like a few of my friends, and I'm just in there like, yo boys, like, I've been given this, do you just want to go? Because like, oh, that's what it's about, innit? Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, I relate. Like, my biggest achievement is my Jimmy Carr episode.
Yeah.
Not because I recorded with Jimmy Carr, but because I could take my sister down with me to meet someone that we used to bond over on TV when times were really rough.
Yeah.
And now we're at the other side whereby she's like hanging about with him. And that was honestly the most special thing. And then last week I was in London for an award ceremony, and she was my +1, and I flew her down.
See?
And like, I've heard people speak about that on podcasts, and I thought, oh, you're just virtue signaling online, you're trying to look cool and be humble. But it is an amazing feeling.
Bro, it's beautiful, because to be able to show people the other side of life or whatever, where it's cool, interesting things, like, that's why we do this for, man. Do you know what I mean? Like I do this to be able to like change my family's life, like change my friend's life, and just bring them along on the journey. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
And they appreciate it more because they realise the journey that you've been on to make that happen. They know that you weren't gifted it, that you've worked for it, and they celebrate those successes with you. And
plus, it's funny. Like, see, whenever we go to these things, we all just laugh. Like, we're like, how did we end up here? Do you know what I mean? Like, how did we go from like sitting in like fucking church court in White City to now like chilling with like all the players and like being in these rooms where it's like for the elites, you know what I mean? And I'm like, dog, there's nothing really elite about this joint. The only thing is most of these motherfuckers just got more money than us, do you know what I mean? But hey, we're still in this room, do you know what I mean? And it's beautiful, man. I love it.
Mate, how does a rapper get to work with Celtic Football Club?
Do you want the long story, like the pure honest story of it? it all started, right, as Reading and Leeds. I'm packing, so we're like going from Glasgow to Reading. No, was it Leeds I played for? It was Leeds I played for, sorry. But it was a space of, I had to get from Leeds to Reading like one day after each other. So there was no like days off or whatever, right? So I'm packing and I'm like, what do I pack? What do I wear? And I'd got a few new retro Celtic tops. And bro, I always wear like football tops anyways. And then I packed like a few of them, a few clothes. We're driving down and I put a tweet out, right? And I was like, one like and I'll wear the Celtic top on stage. And I liked it. Like, it was just banter because, bro, what I knew that the thing I was wearing on stage was the Celtic top. And then like, by the time was going to the thing, it had got like 1,000 likes. And I'm like, what the fuck, man, you know? So jump on stage, Celtic top on, get the pictures, share it online, blows up. And I'm like, right, cool. The next day, do the exact same thing, blows up. That was it. Like, that was it. It wasn't anything like, oh, I'm doing this for anything. It was just, fuck it, why not? And then like, I'm chilling in the house, bro, and then my phone goes, innit? And there's like an Instagram DM, and it's from this guy, right? And I'm gonna say his name and shit, right? But it's like, you should be wearing ours. And I'm like, what do you mean, bro? Turned out that the guy worked for Adidas, and he designs the Celtic tops. So like, the retro Celtic tops I was wearing were obviously not Adidas, but like, because it's doing numbers, my understanding of it, I could be completely wrong. My understanding is, well, it's technically, I'm promoting a brand that is no longer affiliated with Celtic. And now Adidas are like, do you know what I mean? So I'm like, hey, yo, if you're wearing the Adidas stuff, like, this is my address, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And from then, it turned out that the powers that be at the marketing side and stuff of Celtic had seen that post, but nobody knew who I was, like, because I just came out this, well, to them, I just came out the blue wearing a Celtic top. But I've been wearing Celtic tops for like years prior. And then I remember going to the Celtic, there was a Celtic musical at the Armadillo, the one that's next to the Hydro. And I was there on an invite of one of my friends, and we're sat in the front row, we're watching it, it's all great. And then show finishes, and this woman comes up to me and she's like, are you Bemz? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, can you come through the back real quick? My manager wants to talk to you. And I'm like, oh. Walks in, turns out this guy is like the head of like marketing and branding and stuff for Celtic. But what was even more funny about it was there was a guy standing next to him who I went to school with in Stranraer. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, Robert, what are you doing here? And he's like, bro, what are you doing here? Do you know what I mean? Like, it was kind of like another like full circle moment. Do you know what I mean? And basically the club was like, come see us, we like what you're doing, so on and so forth. So when, for my first meeting, and they had put me in the Christmas edition of the Celtic View, which is like the Celtic magazine.
I remember that. And
like, that for me was crazy enough. Like, it was just, bro, madness. Sorry. And then after that, years, well, I won't say years, like about a year later or whatever, there's this girl called Ellie Dixon, and she had done this Jota on a Wing thing on BBC Radio 6 or something, some radio channel anyways. And it ends up getting picked up by like Celtic fans, because at that point Jota was the guy, innit? And then like, I'd like reached out to her and I'm like, yo, like, let me drop a quick verse on it. And she aired me, bro. She like ghosted me, bro. It was so funny. And then someone DM'd me or something. Someone was like, yo, you can duet it on TikTok. And I was like, all right, cool, done it. And I actually think I was with you that day, like the day that I posted it, weren't they? Yeah.
I think we were at the basketball, maybe. I can't remember.
Nah. We went to the gym. It was the gym we went to. Yeah. And then I posted that, And by the time I came out of the gym, it was at like 5K, like, she was at an hour. And then like as the days rolled on, it just grew arms and legs. I think it's sitting at like 1 million views right now. But after that, Celtic was just like, this guy. Do you know what I mean? And from then on, it just kind of just went, you know, from going to the Player of the Year awards.
He even messaged you. Jota messaged you personally.
Yeah. He texted me. He's like, yo, Bemz, I like your thing. I was like, yo, my guy. And like, again, I got to meet him, got to talk to like, at the point, Ange, you know, who was our manager and all the players and stuff. And it was just kind of like brand new. But that kind of took me from being a kind of like online personality to kind of being like a borderline household name. Do you know what I mean? Because, well, Celtic is such a massive club, you know? And then from then, the club just kind of just, I guess, took a shine into me. And when opportunities come up and they need somebody, they'll shout me. But the most beautiful thing about it as well is now, it's like, a lot of the stuff that I do now is done outside of the club. But it's like whenever like brands are coming to look for someone to do something with Celtic, it's like, oh, just get Bemz. And I'm very grateful that the club agrees to it. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's the story of how a rapper like me ends up working with Celtic. It just happens, you know?
Whether you like Celtic or not, if you're a football fan, you realise how special that is, going from like a boyhood fan of a club to then being the face
of working with them. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Working with them on a level that's like crazy. Like the latest campaign we done for Celtic TV, it was me giving the players all their FIFA ratings and stuff like that. And you're just kind of like, yo, like, what the hell? How did this happen? Do you know what I mean?
I was flying to London a few months ago from Glasgow Airport and have the Celtic shop just before departures, and you were wearing the kit on the billboard.
Come on.
Can't escape you, mate.
Yeah, I know. That was crazy. Like, so when I got the email and they were like, do you want to be in a campaign for it? I was like, what? And then to make it even better, they then used my music for the launch. They used Zidane for the launch of it as well. That was even more crazier. Do you know
they couldn't credit you because Zidane
is like
on a lifetime contract with Adidas?
Yeah, Adidas, yeah. So it's not that like they couldn't credit me, but they just couldn't use the lyrics and stuff like that off the song on that and name the song because the song was named Zidane, and obviously Zidane has got absolutely nothing to do with Celtic. Do you know what I mean? So but yeah,
would take him.
Oh, bro, 100%. Even now, but the whole experience has just been surreal, and yeah, it's one that I am 110,000% grateful for.
Even as a podcaster, it showed me the power of affiliation.
Yeah.
And how other bigger, more established brands amplifies your work to other brands.
Yeah.
And of course, your work has to stand on its own legs for it to be amplified.
Yeah.
But if you can tap into these networks, it really helps. And like you said, the rap scene doesn't have financial investment, but what it does have is this kind of periphery of cultural investment, like Celtic Football Club want to invest in you, JD Sports, Scotland, other local brands are backing you, and although they do give you a little bit of financial incentive, it's more the cultural incentive that it's giving you as well. For
sure, but I am still a firm believer of like, there's more to this than me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, don't get me wrong, am I going to turn it down? Probably not, because it's cool stuff. And to be fair, I have turned down a lot of stuff, or I've passed a lot of stuff on. But we don't win until there's like 10, 15, 20 of us doing that. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, not necessarily working with Celtic or whatever, but like 10, 15 rappers working with big brands and big establishments, you know. That's when you can look at the scene and say, yeah. And it needs to happen not one at a time. It needs to happen like at the same time. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like there's 15 of us, 20 of us up doing what we need to do at the right time.
You kind of see that with the London scene. People previously would have said that English rap is a bit dead, but then you have people like Stormzy, Dave, Central C.
Bro. And
that now Americans like Drake is imitating the style.
Bro, for sure. But then you don't even have to go. You can go way further back. What's before that? Do you know what I mean? There was a time where Kano, Red 32, Skepta, JN, Gigs, like there's always been more than one like person at every given time shining. Do you know what I mean? And that's what helps, you know, when it's like, it's not just, obviously, prime example, right? Central C is in like a different stratosphere to a lot of people right now. He's like so far gone, it's crazy. But Dave, Stormzy, them man aren't far behind. Them man are in their own lane, in their own pocket, doing crazy things. Skepta, he's still going after all these years. Chipmunk, he's back. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like there's just a lot of like cool people. Little Sims, for example. Do you know what I mean? Lil Kana. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people winning in so many different ways on so many different levels. Do you know what I mean? And it's not just, oh, okay, Central C's winning, and we'll wait till Central C's done, then we'll move on to Dave. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, and that's what I think Scotland needs to get out of.
It does. Here's your opportunity to name drop even more. You've collaborated with some amazing artists, either supporting them or on some of their tracks. Tell me about Killer Mike. That is the most insane experience. Especially, like, I grew up a rap fan, but not obviously to the details that you have. I can imagine getting the call up from a guy like Killer Mike was one of those pinch me moments.
100%, bro. 100%. 100,000,000%.
How did that happen? How did you get noticed by Killer Mike?
Well, at first it came through. The whole thing that happened was, I think Run the Jewels and Linkin Park were supposed to do something at this mad place. I forget where it is in Edinburgh. And for whatever reason at the time, Linkin Park pulled out.
May have been Chester, after Chester's death.
No. What's called, like, this was before his passing, I'm sure. Was it? I'm not 100% sure anyways, but anyways, they couldn't come and uphold that. But I think Run the Jewels were already in Scotland, and Run the Jewels were like, we're going to play a show. And they got moved to like O2 in Edinburgh, whatever it's called. And then I remember getting an email just being like, do you want to support Killer Mike? And I'm like, stupid question is that? Do you know what I mean? Like, what? Of course. Do you know what I mean? And like, that in itself was cool. But for me, the coolest part was him and his whole team. Like, I've played a lot of shows, and usually, like, the headline acts don't give two fucks about who the support act is, innit? More time, they're just chilling in their dressing room with that entourage, which is, hey, by all means, do whatever you want to do. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not for me to dictate how people do things. But they were just like, from the get-go, just like, yo, what it do? Do you know what I mean? Just like very, very like accommodating. Do you know what I mean? And like, I went on stage, done what I had to do, and I'm walking down, yeah, like Killer Mike is standing there, bro. He's just like there, and I'm like, what? And I obviously dap him up, I'm like, yo, and he's like, yo, that was amazing. And I'm like, what? Like, do you know what I mean? I'm like, this is nonsense right now. Do you know what I mean? And we get back in, and my friends was like, bro, he stood there the whole show. Like it wasn't as if he was doing it for show or whatever. He just stood at the back and just watched the performance. And then his manager comes to me, and his manager's like, yeah, man, like Killer Mike wants your details. He wants to work on the track with you. And I'm like, ha ha ha, funny. And he's like, no, like, do you know what I mean? And I'm like, what? So he plays the show, it's time to go, and I'm leaving, and his manager comes to me, his manager's like, bro, we need your details. And I'm like, wait, you're being serious about this? And he's like, yeah. So sent him my thing, and bro, went back home, Killer Mike followed me, and yeah, now we occasionally talk in the DMs and shit like that. Yeah.
That's a flex, man.
Bro, it's crazy. But bro, it's mad though. It's mad because I'm like, you know, yeah. It's just surreal.
When you reflect on growing up in Stranraer and Ayr and being noticed and appreciated by an icon of the scene, like that distance travel, statistically, you're such a outlier of what should have happened.
Yeah, 100. And we're just here. And I am forever grateful to God for it, you know, because yeah. And I guess as well for me, because I'm just like a fan of the game, like being put in these positions kind of makes it a little bit easier because I'm just like, bro, like, you're killing mate, bro. I'm not here trying to act like, yeah, cool. I deserve to be here. You should know me. No, bro. I'm like, yo, what it do? Do you know what I mean? Like actual, just like a fan of it, and I love it, and I'm just grateful that my career has given me the opportunity to meet such iconic people in the game. You know.
Tell me about performing in front of 50,000 people at Transmit.
Bro, do you want me to be honest? I don't remember it, bro. I don't. Bro, I had to I had to go back home and watch it. Because, bro, I had to put myself in, like, bro, 50,000 people is crazy, bro. Like, when I was standing stage side and I looked out, I was like, bro, what? Because prior to that, I think the most I'd ever done was, like, 300. I rest my case, bro. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd like personally for me, anyways. Like, I've done what's called a support slots and like venues that held like 1,009s and stuff like that. But 1,900 people went standing looking at me at 7 o'clock at night. Do you know what I mean? But this is like peak heat, broad daylight, and I'm looking out and there's bodies. I mean, like, bro, so many fucking bodies that my brain just couldn't comprehend it, bro. And I was just like...
How did your body feel, like, ahead of... Were you shaking? Were you nervous?
Bro, I was nervous as hell. Like, I had played earlier on that day, and I played at the River Stage at 12:30 to 80 people, bro. Do you know what I mean? And then I went and done like a live thing with BBC to like 10 people, and now you want me to go on stage and like on main stage at the biggest festival in Scotland and perform? Holy fucking Christ, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, but at the end of the day, I just tell myself, you deserve to be there. You deserve to be there. There's a reason you're there, you know? And a few drinks later, I was just like, just go out and just do it. And bro, I just done it. And it went over like that. It was literally like, I blinked, opened my eyes, I was off stage. Do you know what I mean? And I couldn't, like, bro, to this day, I know I felt great, but I can't remember it. I literally had to go home and sit and be like, I done that.
That's me.
yeah, like, I done that, you know? And that moment is a very, very proud moment for me, just because a bunch of my friends were there, you know, like, and I'm talking people who were with me from when, like, I never had nothing. Do you know what I mean? And they were there and they're like, bro, we've just watched our power play main stage at Transmit. That's not normal.
I remember you came off the stage back into the crowd.
Yeah.
And like I met you after in the crowd and you were just on stage and like everyone was looking at you like, is that the guy that was he just on stage?
Because for me, I had to share that moment with my peoples, bro. Do you know what I mean? It was like, bro, what the hell? We just done that, you know? And it was a big win, not just for me. It was a big win for my family, my friends, and also for like the scene, the culture that is here for rap, you know?
What I love seeing about your journey is when I'm hanging around with you, if it's a restaurant or we're going to the Celtic game, for example, people stop and take the time to appreciate you or get a selfie. And it's at the point where it's all of the time. But the people that interact with you don't just stop, take the selfie and leave like you're some Love Island star.
Yeah.
They don't, you know, those instances where they don't really understand why they like you or why they should be getting a photo, but they feel the pressure to do that. Everyone stops and spends time talking to you, and you seem to have created a really good relationship with it. But I want to ask, because you have such an intimate relationship with the community that follow you, does it get overwhelming or intrusive at times now?
Yeah. The only time I 100% have a problem with it is when I have my daughter. Like, leave me the fuck alone, man. Do you know what I mean? Because like I am not Bemz there.
You're Jibemi, or dad?
Yeah, I'm dad. You know what I mean? And my daughter, she's too young to kind of like understand all of this, innit? But apart from that, I love it. At first, I used to hate it. Like, don't get me wrong, because I'm kind of like a reserved person to an extent. But like, I was talking to one of my mentors, and they said something that was pretty cool. They were like, you've got to remember that it may be 100 times to you, but to that person, it's the first time. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it'll probably be the last time. And like, just put yourself in a position where you see someone that you see on TV and you've never met in person. Like, you do get that excitement of like
your
oh
Killer
my
Mike
God.
experience.
Do you see what I'm talking about? So now imagine I go talk to Killer Mike and he was like, fuck off. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just not nice. Do you know what I mean? And so for me, just keeping it at the back of my head and just realizing like, yeah, like bro, like these people are the people that help you sell out shows. Like, and it is just a one-time thing, and taking 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes of your time to like acknowledge somebody and talk to them and like listen to them. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that's also like the most important. It's like when I meet someone, I'm like, oh shit, like, how you doing? Like, how's your day? Like, how do you even know who I am? Do you know what I mean? Like, and just getting that conversation with them, like, bro, it doesn't really take much from me, but like it means so much more to people. Do you know what I mean? And it helps you build an organic, what's called a relationship. Because like, I don't like calling the people who come onto my shit fans. Do you know what I mean? Because like, when you call them fans, it does kind of feel like
Chris's hierarchy of I'm more important.
Do you know what I mean?
than them.
Yeah, I'm like, for me, these people like support my goals and my journeys, and they're helping me live out this dream. Because without them, there's not me working with Celtic. Without them, there's not me supporting Killer Mike. Without them, there's not me doing any of these cool things that I'm doing. So yeah, like realizing that, and again, getting the ego out the way and being like, oh yeah, I'm Bemz, man. Getting that out the way really, really helps with that, because it's like, yo, that's just a guy, bro. Like, and he's seeing you and he's got an opportunity to talk to you. Like, bro, just talk to him, bro. Do you know what I mean? Like, see, even now, like, it happens with like a lot of like younger kids and stuff, you know, and they come up, they're like, Bemz, and I'm like, yo, how you doing, little man? Do you know what I mean? Like, can you follow me on Instagram? Do you know what I mean? Like, bro, and
then you're like, no.
Yeah, well, to be fair, like I had one experience where it's like I followed this wee guy back, man, and bro, this guy would not like. When I mean, he was like DMing me every single day, bro. Do you know what I mean? And it was, at first it was funny and it was like nice, innit? But when you're like day 100, I mean, it's just like, oh my God, what have I done? But like, he was just so excited that I followed him. Like, do you know what I mean? And he was like,
You probably like screenshot and show to his friends.
that's what I
Look
mean,
who
bro.
follows me.
Yeah.
We're friends.
And he's like, shout with me, and I'm like replying, innit? Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's kind of like, right, okay, like it does get a bit overwhelming as well. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, issues like that are anomalies. Do you know what I mean? But like,
And
overall,
not
it's
to
beautiful.
expose you or expose myself, but when we have those moments with people we look up to, we
Yeah.
send it to each other as well.
Bro, that's what I mean. So that's why it's easy for me, because for me, I have always been a fan first. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's of football, whether it's of music, I have been a wee guy growing up on basics amount to survive, and looking up to people and then meeting them and being like, you know, so like I fully understand it. Do you know what I mean? And I fully get it. And that's why now, as like a grown up, I am more than happy to take time out my day to just talk to people, you know?
What do you think people online's misconception of you could be? What do people not understand about you as a character?
This is gonna sound very like crazy, however, I don't know, and to be quite honest, I don't really care, bro. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not for me to constantly keep having to explain myself to people. Do you know what I mean? Like, the people who see me, the people who know me, the people who see everything that happens behind the scenes and stuff, that's the only people I really care about. Do you know what I mean? Like if you think that I am arrogant, I am this, I am that, I can show you 20 people who will counter that. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like I used to care about that, but now I'm genuinely just I've got way more important things to worry about than what people think of me online. Do you know what I mean? Like, bro, people's opinion change every single day. Do you know what I mean? You don't know me enough to be able to judge me. You don't like, I know that sounds cringy, like only God can judge me type beat, but like, it's really just that. Like, I know there's a lot of people out there who think that I'm like this overly confident, overly like this, overly that, arrogant or whatever. Like, if that's what you think, cool. You're entitled to your own opinion. But as long as my daughter is proud of me, my closest ones care for me, that's really it, innit? Yeah. So.
We're wrapping up in a couple of minutes because you have to go see your daughter.
Yeah.
What does it mean to become a dad? How's that played a part in your journey as a rapper?
It's been a beautiful journey, a complicated journey, but beautiful.
Because she wasn't born when we first recorded this. So
nah, but
a couple of weeks after, wasn't it?
Yeah. And now she's here getting ready. She turns 4 soon, you know. And yeah, bro, it's been a beautiful journey, man. It's really shaped me as a human. It's changed my perspective on things. I now know that I do it for something that is bigger than myself. Do you know what I mean? And that is my daughter, and making sure that I get to a point where my daughter can look back and say, that's my dad and I'm proud of him, but also be able to provide the life that I always wanted for her. Do you know what I mean? So it's really, really motivated me. It's pushed me forward. It's a driving force. And that's also why I can't slack. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, Nova's got to eat, bro. Nova's got to look good. Nova's got to smell good. Nova's got to have like a happy life, you know? And not just with the materialistic things, but like for me to get out to the point where we've done all we can do, and I can genuinely be like, now I can spend all my time with my daughter in a beautiful setting, you know? And yeah, she's like probably the greatest thing that's happened to me, and without her, fuck knows where I would be. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. Big up Nova, man.
Big up Nova. And I've spent time with her. She's a lovely little human, and
yeah,
I can tell you've rubbed off on her.
Yeah. A little bit too much though, because now we're clashing. Do you know what I mean? Now that she's talking, it's like, no, and I'm like, what do you mean though? Do you know what I mean? But no, I love her for everything that she is and everything that she isn't. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's just my perfect bundle of joy, and I'm grateful for everything she's done for me, you know.
Jibemi, it was good to do this again 4 years on. I have been so proud to watch the journey you've been on. I'm so glad to call you a friend, and this felt right to do at this moment in time, and I can't wait to do another in 4 years' time when you're selling at the Hydro or Celtic Park or something, mate. But seriously, man, I'm super proud to call you a friend. I'm super proud of the journey you've been on.
Bro, and it's the exact same with you, you know. In the last 4 years, from bedroom to here, 1 million fucking streams, dog. Do you know what I mean? Like, that shit's amazing. It's beautiful to see. And you're just like me, bro. A lot of people probably didn't think we would ever come to anything because, as you say, the statistics, we shouldn't. You know what I mean? We shouldn't be where we are. We shouldn't be doing interviews with Jimmy Carr and anything like that. You know what I mean? But here we are, and I'm glad we stand as a beacon to show people who come from the same backgrounds and setting as us that it can be done, you know? So, yeah, proud of you, bro, and grateful to call you a friend as well.
We'll end on that.